It's all about Beaux. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 4th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Benched, the app. Don't take a goose egg. Don't get a zero because you left a non-starting player in your fantasy lineup. Download Bench the app today. Make that a thing of the past and dominate your fantasy season. So, really cool stuff. We're talking about the Rams Bills. I've come around a little bit, but I'm not there, folks. Sorry. I'll give you my game score prediction in the back half of the show. I'm not there. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I'm not there. And never have I been wanted to be proved wrong so much. So, last night's game, I don't know if you saw it on Amazon. I have Amazon. And generally, it's great. I love Al Michaels. People calling for Al Michaels to quit. You don't know football, okay? You just don't know. So go back to Camp Snoopy and don't talk about football anymore if you think Al Michaels is too old. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, I had a long morning today where I was had to sit through a whole bunch of stuff. So I ended up watching Colin Cowherd and a bunch of other KBM media and stuff. And everyone was after Dan Campbell, right? And they want the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell to start playing it safe, right? And everyone's going off on those foolish, he shouldn't have gone for it, shouldn't have gone for it, shouldn't have gone for it. Well, I'm watching it and I'm thinking if there was any time for Dan Campbell not to become conservative, it was last night. His defense is decimated. The Packers have a decent offensive line. They got Josh Jacobs. They got Jordan Love. And they got a host of receivers that are really good and some really good tight ends. So if I got a chance to put away the game, am I going to put it in the hands of my decimated defense? They signed Quan Alexander. I mean, for goodness sakes, Quan Alexander, he's the Bobby Bonds of the NFL right now. Every other week he's with the new team. And they brought in Quan Alexander this week. He's already getting significant snaps. That's how banged up they were. And Campbell has no room to play it safe. He went for it. Could have been a disaster when Goff got stepped on, but he went for it. But I think going for it was the safe thing. Putting it in the hands of his defense was a risk, right? Do I trust a beaten up defense or do I trust the best offense in the NFL? And again, I'm a Ram fan, but if the Rams don't go, I'm a Detroit fan. I want Dan Campbell rewarded. I think the Colin Cowherds, the KBM, they still are just salivating for a moment where they can make fun of Dan Campbell because he's too alpha for them and they're too low testosterone types. Well, I can see why people love playing for Dan Campbell. I can. And why people want to stay there. I get it. What I don't understand is how competent the defense is playing with all those injuries. Again, the offense, he made the right move, but I'm stunned at how well the defense is playing. And at some point, somebody's going to get him. I picked the Packers last night, and Detroit just wouldn't go away. You know, I'm more of a Detroit fan today than I was yesterday, especially if the KBM doesn't like Dan Campbell, and they're always looking for an excuse. Dan Campbell accomplished what Tommy Hudspeth, Rick Forzano, Wayne Fonts, Monty Clark, Steve Mariucci, all those guys, all of them, Rod Marinelli, all of them, none of them could do. He has changed the culture in Detroit. You can't change stuff like that overnight, and he's done it in 3 years, 4 years. It's an amazing thing to watch. Very impressed with Dan Campbell. I like the guy. I like him a lot. Okay, Ram stuff. Ram stuff as you guys are clicking on. Thanks for joining us here. I see some questions coming in and some thoughts, and we're going to get right to that. Here's what has kind of moved the needle on me a little bit. Breece Hall, Devin Achane, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor have all run the ball on the Bills. If not for over 100 yards, then very close to it. Good average yards per carry, right? The Rams have the ability to run the ball on the Bills. They do. They have that ability. The question is, will they, right? And we know if the run game works, the Rams passing game is going to work. And that's the Rams' hope. And to me, when I look at it, Kevin Dotson plows the road. Rob Havenstein plows the road. Alaric Jackson, he's okay. He's better in the passing game. And Steve Avila, he better plow the road. So who's the dude here? The dude here is Beaux Limmer. And I know we appreciate Beaux Limmer. The clicks we're getting out of a 6th-round pick for Beaux Limmer, that Beaux Limmer is amazing. But if Beaux Limmer, who is better in the run game than he is in the passing game, if Beaux Limmer can have a great game and anchor that offensive line and get that push, then yeah, the Rams have hope. Of course, this is the same hope we had coming into the season. This is why when you look at everything on the numbers and you look everything on the page, this is why I'm thinking Rams should be playing for the NFC title this year. We never picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl, but we said they should be in the conference final this year. They should get not only a playoff appearance, but a playoff win and get to the second round at minimum, right? But this offensive line hasn't showed up all year. Injuries, yes, but even when it's been out there, we don't know what to expect. So with that said, I still kind of like Buffalo, right? I do like Buffalo in this game, not because I want Buffalo to win. It's just that I can't move the needle. I think I left, last week with a 34-13, 31, or Wednesday, 34-13, 31-13 score. I've modified that a little bit. Again, another thing, just a reminder, a Seattle win and a Rams loss to Buffalo really makes things different. Really makes things different and difficult for the team going forward, because we need everybody to stay together. Because if we want weeks 17 and 18 to stay relevant, we have to have Seattle lose. We need the Cardinals to win. And then, of course, if we could pick off the win, that makes things a whole lot better for the Rams right now. In terms of injuries, Rams are fairly healthy. Alaric Jackson foot, Jarrett Verse ankle. We've heard about that. Both are expected to play. I think people are trying to gin up a little cloud of doom there, but McVay put it to rest. So everyone's healthy. I don't know if they expect Emmanuel Forbes to play. My feeling is, how bad could he be compared to some of the stuff we've seen lately? And I'm a Darius Williams fan, but he's struggled the last couple of weeks. If he's got a grasp on some concepts, why not give a few snaps to Emmanuel Forbes? Let's find out, right? Let's get him acclimated and find out. Offensive line is going to be Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Beaux Limmer, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein. You run right? You run right. You run behind Dotson and Havenstein, who do know how to plow the road. Okay. Tim Burns, Whittington on kickoffs could be rewarding. Whittington's kick returns could be rewarding. Yeah, it's all gravy. I honestly don't know why any NFL team doesn't just kick out like the Rams do. Kick them all out of the end zone, give the ball to the 30. Don't embrace this joke that the NFL has employed this year. If you really want to make this work, have the kicker kick off from the 15, right? Move them back if you want to see kick returns. NFL has no competition, so they can give us these ridiculous schemes like they're doing this year with the kickoff rule. So, yeah, I would just kick the ball out of the end zone if I was an NFL player. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, Bills 31, Rams 20. Yeah, that's kind of closer to what I'm thinking too, Steve. That's kind of where I'm at. Tim Burns, prayers for Randy Moss stepping away to handle bad illness. Yeah, when he's talking about getting your blood checked and everything, I don't know anything, but we all kind of jumped to some places there. Hope the dude's going to be okay. Steve Ramirez, I can't root for the Lions due to their fans on X. See, I can ignore their fans on X. I can't ignore the KBM media that's always looking for a way to take Campbell down. So, here's the problem with the Lions. They don't know how to win. They don't know how, right? I mean, they haven't been to a Super Bowl. Browns haven't been to a Super Bowl. Texans haven't been to a Super Bowl. Jaguars haven't been to the Super Bowl. I think everybody else has, right? They don't know how to win, right? And they've been mediocre to horrible my entire life. That's what they've been. I think they were 8-5-1 or something like that in 72. Then after that, they were 7-7, 6-8, 7-7, 5-8-1. It's just what they were. And then every once in a while they'd crater and go 2-14 or something like that. But yeah, I don't think they know how to win, right? I just don't. And look at that NFC North, right? You've got the Bears haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2006. The Packers haven't gone since 2010. The Vikings haven't been since 76. And the Lions, of course, have never been there. Unbelievable. It's like the AFC North, right? The AFC North. Oh, you got the Bengals that were there in 2021. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The Bengals. Oh, the Ravens were there in 2012. Okay. Yeah. Oh, the Steelers haven't been there since 2010. Steelers haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2010. Wow. That's interesting. For as great as the Steelers are, they haven't been there since 2010. And of course, the Browns have never gotten there. Tim Burns. Do we run 44 times, eat clock, and try to win a one-score 16-13 game? I don't know if you can do that, but I do know I think the best thing you can do for your defense, besides scoring points, is to keep them fresh and keep them off the field. Buffalo, the scary part about Buffalo is, right, they can beat you on the ground. They can beat you with the big play. They can – they can just beat you, right? I mean, they can just beat you so many ways, right? I worry about their tight ends getting free. And of course, Josh Allen, he's great. And here's the thing about Buffalo too. Buffalo's playing for a piece of this world themselves, right? They're sick of hearing all the things they have to hear. They lost to the Chiefs last year when everyone thought they were going to beat them. Sure, they beat Buffalo in the regular season, or they beat the Chiefs in the regular season, but now, likely they're going to face them again in the playoffs. They're playing for a lot of stuff too, that there's nothing they just want to give away. And so I think they're just hungry to redeem. And, Chiefs loss and a Buffalo win this week. And next thing you know, Chargers have a shot against the Chiefs. If the Chiefs lose, Buffalo wins. Buffalo right now would be the number one seed in the AFC, and everyone has to come through that cold, cold weather. Yeah, a lot of stuff there. All right, let's see here. Saw Bus and Lakers have made 50 rocks on Bronny jerseys. What a waste. Hey, if people are going to buy them, right? If people are going to buy them, what can you say? Lakers need the money, right? It's a family business. They need the money. Around the NFL and other places, not a whole lot as everything builds towards this week. I was surprised, and I'll let Steve Ramirez clean me up on this. No room, or is it too early for ESPN to flex out of Cincinnati and Dallas on Monday night? That just seems like such a dud. But we'll watch it, but what a dud, right? I did make mention of Randy Moss's health situation. Kind of bummed. You don't want to see anyone have that moment. So you hope he's okay. And let me ask you this in regards to other places. So it's not just NFL. Today I came across a lot of people taking shots at Babe Ruth. Did something happen that I don't know about? And they're saying, Ruth would be an average player, just a good player in today's game, and saying that he only played in a segregated league. He didn't have to face fireball relievers. He didn't have to play any night games. And I was stunned. I've seen that in a couple of different places. And so I made a comment on X about it. But first off, Babe Ruth played in the league with only 8 teams. 8 teams. 8, right? That's it. Not only did he face condensed talent, but he also faced pitchers who, I don't know how to say it, knew how to pitch, right? Pitchers like Fernando. We didn't face Fernando, but types that if you didn't get them early, they closed the door on you. People that knew how to pitch. He was also expected to play every day, traveled by train, didn't have the advantage of all the health and nutrition and workout regimens and all that stuff. And I don't know. I first heard these arguments about Ruth from the New York Times elitist snob, and I do say that, elitist snob Daniel Okren. I know he's a fantasy league rotisserie inventor and all that kind of stuff, but I'm watching on that Kim Burns baseball, which was okay, but Kim Burns is a lazy historian. I will say that. I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but Kim Burns is a little bit lazy, and I'll go to the Ty Cobb stuff. But Daniel Okren give this whole thing. I don't recognize Babe Ruth because he played in a segregated league. He's just trying to score virtue points, right? Just smoozing for those virtual points. And I just dismiss those guys right away. And I dismiss people that are just throwing Babe Ruth out. It's just go back to Camp Snoopy, right? Go back to Camp Snoopy. Watch stupid games with people other than Al Michaels calling them, right? Just get out of here. All right. I'm Joe Terozzi, and I was a sports writer for 21 years. And now I get to do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto. And, of course, I write books. And I posted one of my books the other day, and I got to do another one here. So, yeah, I do write books other than football books. And this is one of my books, got a lot of good reviews, called The Dark Norm. It's a little bit of a Twilight Zone twist, but it's about bullying and everything. And so, yeah, it was really popular, did really well. If you guys could check that out on Amazon, I'd appreciate it. Buying these books, following Kistler Law, helps me pay the bills because my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual, all across social media. And buying these books and supporting us. We don't have a Patreon account. We don't have a paywall or anything like that. We really, really do appreciate it. It's only a short book. Look how small it is. Really short, 175 pages. There you go. Okay, I did my duty. There you go. Now my friends who are trying to market me can get off my case a little bit. All right, let's see what we got here. NFC playoffs. Lions are now 12-1. They've still got the Bills and the Bears, 49ers, and Vikings in front of them. And right now, they get past the Bills. Then you got the Bears, the 49ers. Those are two winnable games. And then you got the Vikings, and that's going to be a serious one. Vikings are 10-2. Vikings are 10-2 right now. They got the Falcons who are reeling. They get the Bears. And then we want them to beat the Seahawks, right? We want them to beat the Seahawks. And then they close with the Packers and then the Lions. So they got a little bit of a tough road there ahead of them, those last three games. But these first two games, these next two, Falcons and Bears, are winnable. And, of course, as of right now, Tampa is 6-6. They're going to beat the Raiders this week. Then they get the Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints. And so keep an eye on that NFC South. The room here for the Rams, the Taxkins are just going to have to fold. They're going to need to lose to NOLA, New Orleans. They're going to need to lose to Philly. They're going to need to lose to the Falcons, and they're going to need to lose to the Cowboys. And I don't know if that collapse is going to happen. Yeah, so it makes things tough. We need the Cardinals, even though they got a victory over the Rams, to beat the Seahawks, to keep the Seahawks at 7-6. Cardinals go 7-6. Worst case scenario, the Rams go to 6-7, but they're still within striking distance. If the Rams go and win, that means all three teams are 7-6. So pretty good stuff there. And I think if all three teams win, I think that might put the Rams in first place via the tiebreaker. Because, yeah, the Rams lost to the Cardinals, but the Rams beat the Seahawks, who beat the Cardinals. So I think that might put the Rams in first. I don't know for sure. And there you go. Rams remaining schedule. We got the Bills. Then you got the 49ers on Thursday night. And then you got the Jets, Cards, and Seattle. Can't believe how fast this season has come and gone. In the AFC, we've talked about that. Chiefs are 11-1, but a stumble and the Bills win. Then the Bills take first spot there. Steelers get the Browns. Then they get the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals. That'll be fun to watch to see how the Steelers handle all that. Again, they are a different team with Russell Wilson. They are an absolutely different team, and a team to keep an eye on. I mean that. Texans, I think they're struggling, right? I think they're really struggling. I think the Dolphins are going to beat the Texans this week. Then the Texans got to play the Chiefs. Then they got to play the Ravens, and they've already lost to the Titans, who they finished the season with. Yeah, they they can go on a run here and maybe not win 10 games. And the Colts that are 6-7, they got the Broncos. They're not going to win against the Broncos, I don't think. But then they get the Titans, the Giants, and the Jaguars. They could finish in that 9-8 category. Fortunately for the Texans, they've beaten the Colts twice. And again, keep your eye on the Dolphins. They get the Jets this week, the Texans, the 49ers, the Browns, and the Jets again. Dolphins, by the time first week of January is over, they could be 10-7. Could be. All right, there we go. College football, I'm getting ready to watch. No updates, please. I'm getting ready to watch UNLV and Boise State. I'm looking forward to that game. Love what UNLV has done. I hope they can build on it. I think the quarterback who bailed on them has to feel kind of foolish right now. And I think that's awesome. Kind of rooting for Boise, though. There we go. Let's see what else we got here. See if any more questions rolled in. Let's see. Curtis Olson, could this be a trap game for the Bills? You know, I my bad there, Curtis. Thanks for clicking on. I avoided that because part of that was I should have mentioned it. Part of that was when I talked about, the Bills want a piece of this world too. I don't think they want to open the door. I don't. I think if the Bills are looking at a trap game down the road, I think it could be maybe against the Patriots, Jets, and Patriots. Their last 3 games are against the Patriots twice and the Jets. And I think they're going to be up for the Rams, and I think they're going to be up for the Lions. And then somewhere in there, I think they could stumble against the Patriots. Now, those teams are horrible, Patriots and Jets, I know. But somewhere, I think it's going to happen. I think all the energy right now is in Buffalo. I think KC is ready for a fall. I think the Lions are ready for a fall because you just can't keep up this pace with so many people injured. But good point there, Curtis. I don't think it is. I want it to be. Could it be? Maybe. Anything's possible, but I want it to be, and I don't know if it is. Tommy Huxley, DeToilet or Beagles winning the NFC. I hope it's DeToilet. I don't like the Eagles. I don't. And I think going into the Super Bowl, I think Detroit has a better chance to dethrone Kansas City. I don't trust the Eagles. I don't trust Sirianni. And honestly, if you stop Saquon Barkley, if you limit Saquon Barkley, I don't think Jalen Hurts has the passing chops to be good enough to bring you back. That's just me. Let's see. Tommy Huxley, what about Gabe Ruth? I don't know who Gabe Ruth is. Okay. Did I say Gabe Ruth instead of Babe Ruth? Steve Ramirez, too late for Monday, but the cartoon version on Amazon is something I'll watch. I heard about that. Aren't they dressing up like Simpson characters or something? KJ Brazil, you remind me of Stu Nahan, Los Angeles sportscaster on Channel 7. Stu Nahan, Silver's Tip Sue? That's who I remind you of? I hope that's a good thing. I hope you're not slamming me for that, KJ. But I'll take it, right? He's more successful than I am. Stu, that's cool. Steve Ramirez, at least you tell me you've been around for a while. So you remember all those old dudes, right? Remember Fast Eddie Alexander? And here we go. Steve Ramirez, when Babe Ruth hit 60 homers, he hit more than 7 other teams in the league. Preach. There you go. Willie Bowen, I want Hunter Long to get his first TD reception. I want Hunter Long to catch 5 touchdown passes or none if it leads to a Rams win. But I'd like to see a Ram receiver or tight end catch the ball. Now, I took heat for this. Again, saying, well, their job's not to get the ball to the tight ends and they're not getting open and stuff. Yeah, but usually those tight ends are third reads, right? It's like, I can't find Kupp, I can't find Nakua, I can't find Atwell. Okay, I'm going to Parkinson, right? And they've just been omitted from the offense. 3 catches in 3 weeks from our tight ends. That's interesting. Steve Ramirez, if 3-way tie at the end of the weekend, Cards would be number 1, we first on the division with a division record 3-1 compared to the Rams 2-1 and Seahawks 2-3. Okay, I'll buy that, Steve. Tim Burns, got to say I saw Tavon Austin as the 24th highest rushing total game, 344 yards versus Oklahoma. Where was that guy with the Rams? It's so funny. You could say it's all Jeff Fisher's fault. But, by the time Sean McVay got there, do you remember Tavon Austin in 2017? He was dropping passes. It was almost like McVay was trying to figure out ways to work him into the lineup. You couldn't trust him returning punts. That's how Thurl Cooper rose to prominence. And Tavon Austin eked out a career, but man, yeah, what a disappointment when you consider where he was drafted. Big disappointment. Tommy Huxley, I agree about Hurts. Cool. Thank you very much. KJ Brazil, yes, about Stu Nahan. KJ Brazil, it's a good thing. Okay. All right, I'll take it. KJ Brazil, I think we're around the same age. Yes, I'm class of 82. I'm class of 82, El Monte High School. I'll let you do the math on that one. Let's see. Tim Burns, 44.6 ounce bat. Yeah. Have you seen the bats nowadays? I used to play a lot of slow pitch softball back in the day, and people would have like a 32 ounce Worth or a Easton, 33 ounce Easton and stuff. I used to use a really light bat because I wanted bat speed, but these were the old aluminum bats. I settled in around a 30 ounce, and I had a nice run swinging the bat. No one will tell you that, but I did. But I went to some softball games watching my niece and my nephews play and stuff. And I'm looking at these City League softball games, and they're all wearing masks because they got these juiced bats, and everyone's hitting a home run. And if you hit more than 3 home runs in an inning, everyone after that counts as an out. It's like, are we playing ball or not? Or is it just home run derby? Anyway, I digress. Tommy Huxley, Gabe Ruth, that's from the movie Knocked Up. I didn't see Knocked Up. I didn't see it. That's not a spiritual reason or anything. I just didn't see it. Tim Powers, a game to redeem Rams status as a real threat. Need to show up for this home game. Fight till the end. So I will say this. The Rams have the talent to win this game, but we just haven't seen it, right? We just haven't seen it. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. KJ Brazil, speaking of tight ends, we need to draft a tight end, in my opinion, along with a wide receiver, CB, linebacker, and quarterback and offensive lineman. There we go. The dream would be that Emmanuel Forbes gives us that first-round talent in a football mind, right? He's got first-round talent. Maybe he's a guy that can help us out quite a bit, so we don't have to take a corner up top. I am down with an offensive lineman being up top before a tight end, unless this tight end is something, off the charts. Davis Allen's going to be going into his 3rd year. Colby Parkinson is still signed for another 2 years. And I think we have another 2 years left with Tyler Higbee. So they would have to make some cuts or some moves, I think, let alone we still got Hunter Long, but he's an easy departure. But I am down with offensive linemen. I'm down with a quarterback in the 3rd round if he's there. But I like an offensive lineman, and we want the run stuffer because we don't know what's going to happen with Bobby Brown. Someone's going to offer Bobby Brown a contract, probably more than the Rams were willing to pay him, and he could be gone, and we'll be settling for a 6th-round compensatory pick. Willie Bowen, class of 81. Okay, there you go. KJ Brazil, class of 82 rocks. Okay, so we are similar age. There you go. Tim Burns, good juju. Rams 24, Bills 20. Okay, Mr. Burns, you've led me astray. I've drank your Kool-Aid before, Mr. Burns. I'm not drinking it tonight. Love you. Nothing but respect for Burns of Rancho Cordova, but I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. Again, Rams win 24-20. Mr. Burns, I'll send you a copy of the book and a Kistler Law mug. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, let's see. KJ Brazil. Hopefully, we have more Ram fans at SoFi for this game than Buffalo Bill fans. I doubt it. I did hear one podcaster talking about Rams fans got to get it together because every game's a road game. That Bills Mafia is probably going to be all over in SoFi. And I doubt it. But I think the team is used to it, right? I think the team is used to it. 2 things. You can't go away for 20 years and expect all those kids that grew up to be Ram fans. Boom. That's one thing right there. The second thing is you can't go after the movie stars and the elites and put them in all these upfront places and think that's going to build a fan base. Big mistake there, Mr. Demoff, besides not credentialing us. Big mistake to think that The Rock and all those people are going to get fans turned on to you. You're not going to have the KC, the Green Bay, the Buffalo, the Pittsburgh, those type of tailgate passionate rabid fans in LA, because the city doesn't lend itself to it. And the third thing is most of the people out here are transplants anyway, right? They're all transplants. And so it's going to be really hard. Even when I was a kid, Ram fans were the worst, even when I was a kid. So there we go. Everyone on this show, though, is an exception. Okay, Willie Bowen. LA Rams don't have to draft a tight end. Higbee, Long, Allen, Davis on the team. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I was expecting a little bit more out of Davis Allen as he started getting more snaps, but they're not even using him. He is blocking better. Tim Burns, mug me, baby. Okay, I'll mug you. Yeah, I will. Willie Bowen, LA Rams 34, Buffalo 19. If that happens, Mr. Bowen, you'll get a book. You'll get a book and a mug as well. There you go. KJ Brazil, we have to rebuild the fan base. It's so frustrating. Yeah, and again, I don't know if our culture now leads to that devoted fan base anymore, right? You know, I began noticing this when I was a youth pastor in the 90s, working with teens, is that as players jumped to other teams, that's when my young guys, they followed the player and not the team. And this area is so like that in LA. I just don't think there's that will, that grit to stick with your team, right? Let's see. Tommy Huxley, Willie, stop it. Okay. USA expat, free agency will affect draft needs. It's too early to say now. Yeah, the only thing I will say about this is great bringing D. Will back, Darius Williams, but, you know, Rams missed on Allen Robinson. As of right now, I hate to say it, Jonah Jackson looks like a miss. It's early to say that. But the Rams, what have the Rams done well? UDFAs and in the draft. And so it is too early. It is too early to see what they're going to do, but it is okay to talk about needs that we have. Tim Powers, Tutu has quarterback experience. Can McVay run a fake sweep and pull an option pass? He could do anything, right? But McVay, you don't see a whole lot of gadget out of McVay, right? You just don't. I do hope somebody was in the film room and pointed out to Tutu that when he took that reverse, that he needed to go north and not east or west, that he needed to turn up. If he had turned up, he'd have gotten that first down. There we go. KJ Brazil, I spoke to Kirk Morrison on 710 KMPC, and he told me the reason why the Rams don't get home field advantage is because there's so much to do in LA and everyone wants to be there. Again, I'll say that probably plays into some of it. I know here, as a guy doing a Rams podcast, I'm just leaning on my history here, knowing and I've seen this team be booed by its fans going back into the 70s. And so, yeah, yeah, that's just where I'm at on that. I'm not going to argue that probably doesn't play a part in it, especially when you got to pay for parking and get a cosigner to buy tickets. Yeah, I think it's pretty brutal. Let's see here. Tommy Huxley, I think I would bet $100 that doesn't happen. Laugh out loud. I think you're talking about Willie Bowen's prediction, right? Okay, so I'm keeping my book and my mug. Let's see. Tim Burns, in LA, you got to win or they don't come. Surfing, skiing, nightlife is too much of a draw, and it's really expensive. And I'll say this, football's a blue-collar sport, man. I think it's a blue-collar sport. I think it appeals to the blue-collar types a lot more, and they're going to be more passionate. But you know what? They don't got the dough. It's expensive to go to a game. I personally someone asked me, are you excited about SoFi? And I said, SoFi wasn't built for somebody like me. If I go back in as a credentialed writer, then that's one thing. But, man, I don't see myself wanting to buy tickets. I got the best seat in the house in the RamCave right here. I got all the amenities. I got everything I need. Why do I need to go and see Dance Cam, Kiss Cam, and then see a brawl that I'll have to walk around, or be around a drunk? I do have being around drunk people issues. It makes me really mad. Anyway, thoughts. KJ Brazil, when we were in St. Louis, it was dominantly Ram fans. Good, but I did notice, I think it was Ram fans, but I did know in the Edward Jones Dome, because I watched every game. I had the Sunday ticket for over 10 years. I did notice there was a lot of empty seats there at the end, and I don't blame them, right? Ownership was poor, and there just wasn't a lot of energy, a lot of poor decisions. Let's see. Tommy Huxley, go Bills, laugh out loud. Willie Bowen, Buffalo Bills, puke. KJ Brazil. In the 70s, we sold out the Coliseum. Often, I mean, sometimes, yeah. There were a lot of games that were blacked out, and that's why I had no problem with him going to Anaheim, because almost all the games in Anaheim were on TV. Thomas Wilson, the Rams destroyed their fan base, moving to Orange County and then St. Louis. I guess you could say that. I don't think we weren't affected. None of my friends, those of us that followed the Rams, were affected by the move to Anaheim, because the Coliseum was the pits. The Coliseum was the pits. It's great now. USC's done a great job with it, but it was the pits. It was awful. And then it was like 90,000, 75,000. You had to sell out. You couldn't get a whole lot of games on TV. So when they went to Anaheim, a little bit easier access, a little bit better stadium at the time, and the games were on TV. Very few of those games were blacked out. So I was good with it. The St. Louis move is something completely different. That was an act of evil. But hey, you know what? I'm all down with St. Louis fans. St. Louis fans, you're welcome here. Tim Burns, lucky you met me after my fraternity days. Okay. All right, Mr. Burns. There we go. Okay, let's look at this here. I broke this down a little bit. Yeah, I don't care about the 2022 opener when the Rams lost to the Bills in 2022. In fact, on this show, I said the Rams were going to lose. I did. Buffalo was too amped up. Von Miller was coming back, and I think it was close at halftime, and then Buffalo just ran away with it. And then that's when all the injuries started mounting up. That one didn't bother me. What bothered me was the 2020 game. Did anyone remember the 2020 game in Buffalo? Rams were down. They rallied from about, 3 touchdowns down, took a 32-28 lead, and then there was a late hit call on Allen that was really egregious. It's just a horrible call. At least I thought it was a horrible call. They got a first down, and with like 15 ticks left, he threw a touchdown pass, and they won. That game really upset me. I was at the Ram-Buffalo game in 74 at the Coliseum with my brother. Again, bus to downtown LA, bus to the Coliseum. That's how desperate we were to get to Ram games. And the Rams beat Buffalo 19-14. Both teams, Buffalo was 9-5 that year. They made the playoffs. They had to go to Pittsburgh. Rams had lost, I think, the previous week on Monday night to Washington, George Allen, right? And that set up to where George Allen's team was the Redskins, of course, were the wild card team, and they had to come to LA. And so, or no, yeah, they were, because I think the Cardinals won the East in 74. So the Redskins had to come to LA, and I was at that playoff game. But last game of the season, the Rams ran a lot of backups and everything. I saw O.J. Simpson play. He had about 70 yards, make one run. And the Rams beat Buffalo 19-14. But I will tell you about how bad the Coliseum was in those days. We had seats that were really close. We were on the open end on the south sideline, which would be the Rams sideline at the time, I think. Yeah. And we were about 6, 7, 8 rows back. And so we had a great view of the end zone, peristyle end over here. And I remember yelling at James Harris, trying to get his attention. And of course, he couldn't hear me. He ran for a touchdown. Jaworski ran for a touchdown. Stukes had an interception. It was a great day. And I just remember that we thought these were great seats. I think we paid $8 for them. These are great seats. But when all the action went to the other end, you couldn't see a thing. You didn't know what was going on. You tried to stand up. You couldn't see over the players on the sideline. Coliseum's so much better now than it was before. But at least I can say I saw the Rams beat the Bills 19-14 in the Coliseum. There we go. Looking at this game, I think if the Rams can run the ball, they can win the game. Or they could put points on the board and make it one of those shootouts, right? My fear is also that, you look at Buffalo's options between the tight ends, Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel, and James Cook. He's a home run hitter, and that offensive line, not as good as Philly's, but a good one. And then you got Josh Allen. How do we stop them, right? How do we stop them? And so my feeling was 34-13, 31-13. And I came away, I moved the needle a little bit. I'm still thinking Buffalo's going to win. And I took Bills 34-24. That's where I took the Bills, 34-24. It's not a moral victory because it just kills the Rams. It's nothing you're going to feel good about down the road, but that's just where I see it right now. Worst case scenario, 34-13, but I think the Rams should be able to run the ball. They should be. But Buffalo right now, they're up there. They're playing great ball. Hopefully this is their hiccup game. Maybe it is their trap game. I hope so. I just don't see it right now. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, I was there in 74 too. Got a drink from a flask from a guy. My gosh, from a guy sitting next to me when my older brother wasn't looking. Oh, that's hilarious, Steve. Where were you sitting, Steve? Tell us where you were sitting in the Coliseum. KJ Brazil, Lakers and Dodgers sell out because they win championships. If Georgia wasn't all about money and getting a new stadium instead of focused, she should have been getting a good management team. Yeah, everything about Georgia is sus, right? Did I use that expression right? Very sus about Georgia. Yeah, very suspicious about her. But here's the thing. I do think the Dodgers are in the DNA. They just are, right? There's something about the Dodgers that is just the DNA, man. People are just, they're just going to be Dodger fans. And I understand it. I do understand it. By and large, it's always been competitive, right? They've never been a joke. They're not the Angels, right? So I get that. The Lakers, on the other hand, yeah, I think the Lakers fan base, there's a lot of good history there, in between West, Chamberlain, Baylor, to Magic, Worthy, Kareem, all that stuff, Cooper. And then you got the Shaq and on Kobe, and then the Kobe, Paul Gasol era. You got all that stuff. But I don't think people are buying the LeBron James stuff. I just don't. I think he feels a bit sus as a Laker. And the truth of the matter is, couple things. The Buses have to get back control of this organization. They just have to. And they got to make hard calls. It looks like they got a coach who's willing to say things and do things that might not be popular. And that's probably the first sign that maybe Reddick might be the guy to keep and build around. But they're kind of a joke right now. I think the Lakers are an absolute joke. And here's the thing. Last I saw, the Clippers are 14-10. Kawhi Leonard hasn't played a minute. And he probably never will. And you can't trust him. But Steve Ballmer built that beautiful arena, the Intuit Dome, awesome place. I've been right by it. But he's got the will. He wants to win. And at a certain point, everything's going to fall into place for that guy. And the Clippers are going to reel off. If the Clippers reel off a couple of championships, that Bus family is going to become more and more irrelevant. It will be. It will, right? Because fans are going to go with the winner. And I think they're going to abandon the Lakers. Lakers are just so stagnant right now. They need a big change. And maybe they even need to think about selling. That's just my thought when it comes to the Lakers. There you go. Let's see here. KJ Brazil, keeping the star players, keeping Dickerson, Bettis, Kevin Green, and other good players that got away. Yeah, after that 89 conference loss, you could see the sell-off starting to happen. Now you could put pieces together that led to the move after the 94 season. You could see it happening. It wasn't good. Steve, I'm interested. Is that closed end, open end? Tell me where you're at there. It's where you set. Let's see. I can't rightfully enjoy the Lakers since LBJ showed up. Okay, LeBron James showed up, and I have a logo tattooed on me. Davis won us the 17th title. Yeah, to me, that 17th title was a summer tournament that extended into the fall. If those guys had to play a full season, they never would have made it, right? They ended up playing, 45, 60 games that year? Yeah, I don't feel it for the Lakers there. Let's see. Tom Wilson. I think we can win if McVay commits to the running game, controls the clock 38 to 40 minutes. Right there with you. Right there with you. And right there. Yeah, absolutely. Steve Ramirez, open in Rem sideline. Oh, then we weren't too far from each other, man. I was the guy with short hair and pointy ears. If it helps. KJ Brazil, Carol Rosenblum was still living. I believe the Rams would not have been a bad football organization after the 79 Super Bowl. No, I don't think so either. And I have a tendency to think the worst of that situation. If you call me a conspiracy theorist, then I'm a conspiracy theorist on that one. All right, let's run through this real quick. Packers, of course, lost to the Lions in the Dave Purifoy Bowl last night, 34-31. You got the Jets and Dolphins in the Brandon Marshall Bowl. I'm going with the Dolphins. You got the Falcons and Vikings in the Bob Berry Bowl. I'm going with the Vikings. Saints at the Giants at the Tony Galbraith Bowl. I'm going with the Saints. Panthers at the Eagles in the Rodney Peete Bowl. I'm going with the Eagles. Browns at the Steelers in the Lynn Dawson Bowl. Think about it, Lynn Dawson Bowl. I'm going with the Steelers. Raiders at the Buccaneers in the Warren Sapp Bowl. Jaguars at the Titans in the Blaine Gabbert Bowl. I'm taking the Titans. Seahawks at the Cardinals in the EJ Junior Bowl. I'm actually taking the Seahawks in this game. I think the Cardinals, maybe the time has come. Bills at the Rams in the James Harris Bowl. I'm sorry, guys. I'm taking the Bills. Bears at the 49ers in the Dave Williams Bowl. I'm taking the 49ers. They got to have some pride there, right? Sunday night, Chargers at the Chiefs in the Donnie Edwards Bowl. I'm taking the Chiefs. Chargers could very well win this game, but anytime I put my faith in the Chargers, they let me down. I'm taking Chiefs in this one. Monday night, Bengals at the Cowboys in the Terrence Newman Bowl, and I'm going with the Bengals. All right, there we go. Let's see here. Richard Ramos. It's been hard to listen to a Laker game since the voice of the Lakers passed away, Mr. Hearns. Oh, yeah, I haven't listened to one. Isn't that funny? You know, I mean, sometimes you used to say put on Scully, put on Chick, right? And we just don't say that anymore, right? I think a lot of people are missing out on that. And does anybody, so you guys sound like old-time LA guys. What do you think how wonderful it would be to have Jim Healy alive today? Jim Healy. Remember Jim Healy? That would be awesome. KJ Brazil, you agree with me on that. I think that's the Rosenblum thing. Tim Burns, aren't you still the short guy with pointy ears? No, man, I'm 6'1". The ears are still pointy, but I'm 6'1", Chief. You know, I'm the only 6-footer in the last century in my family. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right, let's get going here.
It was a stone group, my man.
All right, December 6th, 2022, Rams claim Panthers quarterback Baker Mayfield off waivers. Amazing. 2 years ago tonight, we know what Mayfield did. Sean McVay resurrected his career. Mayfield should send 2% of his contract for his future, all of his future earnings to Sean McVay. Born on this day is legendary linebacker Andy Robustelli, 1925, and former Rams wide receiver Chris Givens, who was in that same draft with Brian Quick. And Givens had a couple of moments with the Rams. Unfortunately, what happened on this day in 2018, at the age of 69, Isaiah Robertson was killed in a tragic car accident. Legendary Ram. You know, again, Rams pick off a couple of Super Bowls in the 70s, even get there a little bit. Isaiah Robertson's probably in the Hall of Fame. He was a first-round pick of the Rams, 10th overall in 71 at a Southern University, an HBCU school, part of that Ramskins deal. Played in 111 games, 102 he started, had 19 and a half sacks, 25 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, 6 Pro Bowl appearances, all pro twice. And he fell out of favor in 78. He slowed down a little bit. Bob Brzezinski took his job, and he was traded to Buffalo for a fourth-round pick that didn't amount to much for the Rams. And he had some nice years in Buffalo. Loved Isaiah Robertson, Butch Robertson. He was one of your guys. In fact, Steve and I talk about that Rams-Redskins playoff game back in 74. He's the guy that had the big pick 6 that iced that game. His last 4 years, he started all 4 years in Buffalo for Chuck Knox. So that is a bummer when you think about Isaiah Robertson. And then other stuff in Rams history on this day. I don't think there's a whole lot here. I think we got it. Okay. December 7th, since we're not on tomorrow, December 7th, 1978, the Rams signed Anthony Davis, former USC star who got robbed from a Heisman in his day. He should have won a Heisman while he was at USC. Played in 2 games for the Rams, 3 carries, 7 yards. He had been a second-round pick of the Jets in 75 and played in Canada, played for the Buccaneers. He just didn't have the burst in the NFL. But when he was at USC, he was magical, man. There was just something about Anthony Davis. Just those were wild times. I mean, I can't even describe what it was like watching Anthony Davis play. December 7th, 1983. This is kind of bad news. News broke that Kirk Collins was receiving treatment for a malignant tumor in his throat. Remember, Kirk Collins wore number 42, 7th-round pick of the Rams back in 1980 at a Baylor. But by 82, 83, he'd become a starter. And the news broke on December 7th of 83. And then sadly, he passed away February 22nd, 1984. He played in 25 games for the Rams. In 83, after the departures of Thomas and Perry, he started 4 games, picked off 5 passes, and that 5th interception came against the Jets in 83. That was the day of the Gastineau-Slater fight. He suffered a growing injury. Doctors, in diagnosing the injury, found the tumor in his esophagus. It proved to be malignant. Collins was only 25 years old. 25 years old. And you think of what would have been with that guy. Kind of forgotten in history a little bit. He should be a little bit better remembered. Born on December 7th in 1956, former Ram defensive lineman Reggie Doss. And he had a nice career. And then Mel Owens, first-round pick in 81 out of Michigan. Mel Owens played about 10 years for the Rams. People thought they reached for him, and he ended up giving the Rams 10 years. He was a solid outside linebacker. And, there you go. And then I'm looking at the rest of this stuff here. I think that's it. December 7th, 1980, Rams lost to Buffalo 10-7 in overtime. And, I remember that game. Came home from church. That was a real physical game. Pat Hayden had to sub in briefly for Ferragamo, and the Rams lost that game. All right. Born on December 8th, that's this Sunday. One thing to mention was Bob Brown, former Hall of Famer, played right tackle for the Rams in 69 and 70. He was part of the deal that got him from Philly. Rams gave up Irv Cross, Joe Carollo. He was a longtime offensive lineman for the Rams. And the Rams got Jim Nettles and Bob Brown. Brown was great his 2 years with the Rams, and then got traded to the Raiders in 71 for Harry Shue. Shue was there until 72, and then John Williams nailed down that right tackle spot from 73 through 78 until Jackie Slater took over. The interesting thing about Bob Brown coming to the Rams and coming in at right tackle was it made the Rams kick Charlie Callan from right tackle to left tackle, where he stayed from 69 through, 74, 75 season, and then Doug France took over after that. But just an interesting thought there in history. And Bob Brown would have been 83 on Sunday. He passed away in 2023 from complications of a stroke. There we go. I think we got it all in. All right. KJ Brazil. Love Leroy Irvin, baby. Hey, Leroy Irvin's a good dude, right? He's a good dude. I've got to see him at RamFest, see him interact with fans and stuff. Who doesn't dislike Leroy Irvin? We're 47, same number as Charlie Stukes. There we go. Michael Negretti. Hola, Pastor Joe. What's new with RamView? Well, I'm in a debate with Willie Bowen and Tim Burns about not believing the Rams are going to win. I still don't think the Rams are going to win. I think it's going to be 34-24 instead of 34-13, but that's where I'm at. Hopefully I'm wrong. And if Mr. Burns is right, I promised him a book and a mug. There we go. Okay. Let's see. KJ Brazil. We've had some good linebackers back in the day. Fred Strickland, Mike Wilcher, Jim Collins from Michigan State, Frank Stamms, Mel Owens, Fletcher, Jim Youngblood. I don't know if Collins went to Michigan or Michigan State. I know Owens went to Michigan. I'll have to look that up. London Fletcher, man, completely underrated. That was a big mistake to let him go after that Greatest Show on Turf run. Big mistake to let London Fletcher go. I was a Mike Wilcher fan. Underrated, good, solid linebacker for about 8-9 years there with the Rams. Fred Strickland had that bad injury, just that it looked like he was starting to develop. And, of course, Jim Youngblood, man. Who didn't love Jim Youngblood? Jim Youngblood, right? Willie Ellison gets traded to the Chiefs in 73, in the spring of 73. Rams get 2 picks. They get a second-rounder and I think a fourth-rounder from the Chiefs. This is a Don Klosterman deal. They get Jim Youngblood in the second round. Then they get a starting cornerback in Eddie McMillan for 3 years in the fourth round. Pretty good trade there. But that's how Jim Youngblood, no relation to Jack and such. So, okay. Wow. We've gone 54 minutes. You guys have anything else you want to throw at me here? I'm going to wait till 55 before I wrap this sucker up. I will be, in the RamCave watching this game. And it's funny when the Rams, here's the hardest part, right? You put in your mind your team's not going to win. Here's the hard part is they lead for 3.5 quarters, right? and then there's a collapse, and then you're breaking things. Well, maybe not breaking things, throwing things. That's me, right? That game against Baltimore around this time, about it last year, they went to overtime. They should have won that game, and then they gave it that punt return. Remember they don't call clipping in Baltimore. And I remember I had a water mug and I threw it down to the ground. I didn't think it would break. It broke. And the thing was that I didn't expect the Rams to win in Baltimore, but then they carried you along that road and you thought you had it, right? You thought you had it. All right. Okay, KJ Brazil. Pat Thomas at the corner. Pat Thomas, number 27, Texas A&M, second-round pick. One of my favorite Rams of all time. Bad dude at corner. Absolute bad dude at corner. Knocked Lynn Swann out of Super Bowl 14. So a Pat Thomas fan. So a Pat Thomas fan. KJ Brazil. Hey, Joe, remember what Jim Hill says. Just keep the faith. Does he still say that? Remember he used to say that? The Sunday Sports Final. You couldn't find sports highlights anywhere, so you'd wait for the Jim Hill Sunday Sports Final. They play that ELO music. All right, guys. Eagles versus KC in the Super Bowl. Reed Mahomes, 3P. I hope so. I'd rather see the Chiefs get one than Philly. Thanks, Brian Smith. Thanks, KJ Brazil. Thanks, Steve Ramirez. Thanks, Richard Ramos. Tim Burns. All you guys. Michael McGretty, Willie Bowen, Tommy Huxley. All you guys. Tim Powers. Everyone that watched. God bless. Take care. We will see you on Monday.